Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, and the mic is just getting warmed up as the guardian of the blue paint turned writer is about to enlighten us. The show where the writer is fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry. For this week's show, doing a lot with very little, the Tortorella Affect. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc. Join Lance and Steel as we bring you all the latest on the Flyers.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Hockey Writers Inc. As always, I'm your host, Lance Green.
And as always, I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers. How you doing, Lance?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with these Flyers as of late.
I have to say.
Oh
my gosh, man. Wait, what?
I know. Haven't
Okay.
been able to say that in a while.
No, actually we haven't. And I have to tell you, it's been quite impressive, I have to say. What do you think?
I think so. I knew Tortorella was going to bring some of this. You know what I mean? He has done it for other teams in the past, but I really like what I'm seeing. I'm not expecting wins every night. Obviously, they lost to the Panthers, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I see effort. And I haven't been able to see that in quite a few years. And I see 60 minutes of effort is what I like.
All day long, man. I can't tell you how much that is a refreshing piece to see and to deal and to hear and to watch.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, man, we're excited. We got a lot of stuff we're going to get into. There's been quite a few games played already, and so that's what we're going to get into. How about this, ladies and gentlemen? This is episode number 99.
Oh, my.
Oh, yeah, baby. Episode 99. And we're going to title this Doing a Lot with Very Little.
Yeah, that sounds like a good title.
That sounds like a good title. Hint, hint, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. That's because the great, the awesome, the Writer Extraordinaire is back. The first article was released, last week?
Yeah,
last
I believe.
Week? Oh, man. Woo! Thank you, Mr. Writer Extraordinaire. We've got the Writer is back. And his first article hits it out of the park. We're going to talk about that. It's basically, he covered what the Tortorella Effect is with this team. And we are clearly seeing that on display in front of us.
Right.
Okay? Every single game, every single shift, we're seeing it, right? We're seeing effort. We're seeing want to.
Hustle. Guys finishing their checks. Imagine that.
Wait a minute. Did you just say guys finishing their checks?
Yeah.
With a few exceptions.
Right.
I'm still okay. A lot of good. Couple not so good. You know, obviously with the injury front, not giving us any more good news. You know what I mean? And still guys missing. And now with Cam Atkinson now on the IR, and then Ristolainen on the IR, and we already knew about Ellis, right? And then how soon are we getting Couturier back? You know, it's like we keep getting this dangling carrot in front of us, like Couturier is skating and he's there at the game, but he's not on the ice. Yeah. We really need you, buddy. Lance, tell me what inspired you to write this article. I mean, it's been a while. You've had a little break.
Right.
You know what I mean? And a lot of things has happened to this team since last article you've written. Okay? And I want to know what really made you want to write an article like this right now, this particular story right now. What inspired you to do that?
Well, I believe the Tortorella Effect. And like last week, we had, the great JJ on with us, the voice of the Flyers. And he spoke of the powers that be of John Tortorella and what he could bring to this team. And so far this season, we've seen that. You know, we've seen guys coming out and, him demanding hustle and 60 minutes of play And I mean, you saw it in the games where they've been down, 2 goals and came back. And even in, the last game against the Panthers, they still lost, but they were fighting until the very last second of the game. I think Konechny scored, to make it, a 1-goal game. So, this is what I want to see. And I think that most fans are going to be excited about this because they know this team isn't a cup contending team. Let's face it, there's no star, no anything like that. Right. But what they do have is a coach that is going to demand from his players the ability to actually play the game and cut out all the bad habits that they've had and that they developed over the past couple of years.
Yeah.
And, he's really come in and demanded that his team play better. He doesn't care who's injured. He doesn't care, who signed other teams and all this stuff. It's about the guys that he has in the locker room and getting the most out of them. And I think he's getting a ton out of them, hence the title.
It's kind of been his mantra from every team that he's kind of gone to. He's had that effect on teams.
Right.
And I was watching some of the talking heads throughout the week, and they were talking about that very specifically, that teams that he's gone to in the past, he's been able to get them to be somewhat productive relatively right away. And the comparison that everybody's making right now is Bruce Boudreau. When he went to Vancouver and he basically dropped a whole new culture on that team and a whole new way of thinking on that team. And now, okay, they're not winning right now and they're kind of hitting a bump, but that team rallied round each other last year. And that was a different club from the time that Bruce Boudreau came in. And even to now, they're still, they're a much different club than when Bruce Boudreau came in or before he came in. Right. And I feel that Tortorella has had that same kind of effect on the Flyers. And it's something that's been missing from the Flyers for a very, very long time. We haven't had a coach, I think maybe since Hitchcock. Although Laviolette was not exactly holding back much neither. Right. You know what I mean? But as far as coaches that had some snot, and was not afraid to wear it a little bit on their sleeve, where I thought some of the other coaches were a little bit more reserved and a little bit more pulled back, you know what I mean? But I never thought I would say this, man, but I'm glad that Tortorella is the coach of the Flyers right now. I never thought I would say that about this coach because honestly, guys, I'm not really a fan. I haven't been a fan of Tortorella until I've had an opportunity to kind of see what he's all about. I've seen his maturation. Okay. I've watched every single press conference that he's done since he's been in Philadelphia with that specific little tick in the back of my mind going, when is he going to turn it into himself? When is he going to revert back to the old Tortorella? When are we going to see that? When's that? It hasn't come.
Well, I think he's learned. He's taken a couple of years off. He's been in covering games and different stuff, and game analysis for some different up in Canada and now down here a little bit last season and stuff like that. He's learned. I believe last year. Yeah, he's learned. He's grown. He was, let's face it, like a Mike Keenan, years ago, and he had some theatrics about himself and press conferences and everything like that, and he's going to tell you how he feels, and he's still going to do that today, and I like it, and I was. Played well under that kind of coach, but it is a different game now, from the time he won the cup with the Lightning, but it's also a different group of players than you had back then too. This is a different society nowadays and stuff like that, and you can't just treat guys like he did. So I think he's grown. He's learned that over the past couple of years, watching these other coaches, he said, and hearing them talk and everything like that, and interviewing them. So I think we're getting the best of Tortorella here. I think he's, still got that gruff, and he's not going to put up with any players, mouth or anything like that, or inability to buy into the system. But at the same time, I don't think he's going to be as brash as he once was. Now, if they're deserving of that and don't put forth the effort, I think you're going to say a little bit of that, but it might be a little more tactful now.
See, I was just going to say, I think he might be still brash, just maybe not in the media anymore.
Yeah.
You can be brash in the locker room and tell guys straight up in the locker room.
Yeah.
But I don't need you to be slamming microphones and acting like an idiot when you're out there in front of the media, because at that point in time, you become the representation of every single person in that franchise. Okay. And you better conduct yourself like you are the representative of that franchise. I'm not asking the guy to go up there and be Bill Belichick. Yeah, we're moving on to Miami next week. Any more questions? All right, thanks. I mean, that's Bill Belichick. You're not going to get anything from that guy. You know what I mean? And he's all about business. I'm not advocating for Tortorella to be like that, but I do think we're going to see a softer Tortorella, like you said. I think we're going to see
in the media, yeah.
Yeah, more pulled back. Where he's not going to be as now when he did the in the bench interview, I think it was the second game. New Jersey was the first game, right?
Yeah. New Jersey's first.
What was the second game?
The second was against the Canucks.
Okay. In that game, they did an in-game interview with him, and he said, and this is what kind of blew me away a little bit. He was like, yeah, he says, we're playing scared. We're not doing what we need to be doing. We're not playing right. You know what I mean? We're hesitant. We're waiting around. No. We need to attack. We need to go. Making in-game adjustments.
Yes.
I mean, where has that been for the Flyers? We've never seen in-game adjustments. I mean, at least not from Yo, or at least not from AV as much as, I mean, it just was always the same thing. You know what I mean? And so that's one of the things that's really impressed me about Tortorella, is that he has kind of owned this. And I've been really impressed with his level of maturity in handling the press and everything like that. So,
but it's still only a couple of games in. Let him lose a couple of games, and we'll see where he's at after that.
Let's wait till we're like November or December. You know what I mean? And guys still aren't getting it and things like that, and see how patient and calm and everything he is in the press conference.
Right.
But I don't. Honestly, Lance, I'm going to tell you something. Okay. Now, we had a lot of negativity over the offseason. And even during the past 2 seasons before that, there was a lot of negativity surrounding this team. Because rightfully so. Because let's face it, they stink. Okay? And there was no signs of life. There was no signs of getting better. I agree. I think the rebuild's already happened. Okay? Because I think that's what Hextall did. He did the rebuild. He just wasn't able to finish it. And I think what Chuck has done is extenuated the pain a little bit more. I'm just still not happy with management.
No, okay? Definitely not. Definitely not. I'm actually writing an article on that as we speak. It's in the editing process now, but yeah, I think John Tortorella is living up to his end of the bargain, and he's doing what he can with what he has been given.
But, doing a lot with very little.
Right, but that's being only part of it. Now we have the right coach in mind and in place, but management needs to do their part. They've been absolutely atrocious in drafting, in player development, and all that we spoke on before in past episodes. So now it's time for them to right their ship. And if you read the article when it comes out in the next day or so, you'll be able to see where I'm coming from that.
Hint, wink, wink,
aspects.
nudge, nudge. So new article coming out. Yeah, all right. Man, it's been so long since we talked about Lance's new articles coming out on the show. I miss it, man. I miss reading your style. I miss reading somebody who's not afraid to tell the truth, but is very much about the detail of the article, is very much about getting the facts right and correct. And so, like I said, I missed that. I haven't read very many Flyers articles.
Who would want to? Yeah, who would want
season.
to?
You know,
It's depressing. So
yeah, you know, but I'm also very excited about a certain couple of players that have really impressed. And I'm going to go with one that you probably weren't thinking of.
Okay.
Okay. And I have to start off right off at the top because we were so adamant about this issue not being addressed in the off season, or felt that there was a lack of addressing of this issue during the off season. Carter Hart came out and basically just slammed the door on the first 3 games. I mean, he was a little shaky there in that New Jersey game, and that first goal that they let in was pretty soft.
Okay? Yeah, he hasn't played since April.
I'm taking words out of my mouth here, you know. But I have to say, man, he's been square to the shooter. He's been aggressive at the top of the blue paint. Okay, so he's cutting off angles. Right, we're seeing Carter Hart from like year 1. Right, you know what I mean?
Well, I mean,
trust me.
Okay, I mean, I see that. I think Carter Hart has played very well and has kept them in the game enough so that they can get back into it and win a couple of games there. I'll go as far as saying that he should have played last night as well.
I agree.
I don't care that it was back-to-backs. Okay.
I agree.
And when you look at it, you know, he's 24 years old, and Hart is supposedly the face of your franchise now. He's the guy in net, supposedly, right? So I want to see him start playing more games. His career, you know, record start-wise is 44 games. I would like to see him get in the 50s. I want to see him get 55, 60 games. All right.
I would like to see that 60-game plateau.
Yeah. Vislavsky played in 63 games last season. Okay. He's 28 years old and he's pulling that many games. I think a 24-year-old can play back-to-backs on a rare occasion. Do I think he should have played if we were playing a lesser team that's, you know, probably Montreal or one of these other clubs that were way out of it last season and maybe not built themselves back up a whole lot, like the Islanders or somebody like that as well? You know, hey, all right, get Sandstrom in there and then we'll have Hart ready to go the next game, because we have some tough games coming up, you know, against the Panthers again, the Hurricanes coming up again. So I'd rather So that's what I'm saying. I want to see him. If he's going to be the guy, I want him to be the guy. And I want to see, like you said, at least 60 games out of him this year. I'm tired of this 1 and 1A. We don't have a 1A. I'm sorry, Sandstrom.
We don't even have a B.
Yeah, that's like a D minus. Sandstrom, and Sandstrom was hurt too. He didn't. I don't think he did. But he also has no wins in the NHL. He's played, that was his like 6th game ever in the NHL, and you're going to put him up against Florida, who were thought to be pretty heavily favorites after getting Giroux and all that. Of course, he's gone now, but I mean, they stocked up again with Matthew Tkachuk. So there's some weapons on that team. And I just wouldn't, me personally, if I was a coach, I wouldn't have thrown Sandstrom coming back from injury and not have really done too well in the NHL in a regular season game yet and thrown him in his first game this season against a team like that. I would have said
in Florida.
In Florida, definitely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And especially with the fact that their next game was going to be 4 days away.
Yeah.
You know, so they played a game back to back, and then they have 4 days off.
Right.
Well, if you played the night before and you play the next night, and then you get 4 days off, well,
that's not too bad, yeah.
You know what I mean? So that's why I agree with you that I felt that Carter Hart should have played that game against Florida. You know what I mean? I really do. I really feel that he should have played that game because that's what the matchup should have been. Bob against Hart.
Yeah. You got a guy making, over, I think, $12 million if you add in bonuses.
Well, his base salary is 10.
Yeah, his base salary is 10 something, and his bonuses equal out to about $12 million. Him getting paid $12 million this season, and you're going to throw in a guy that's not even won a NHL game yet, and go up against a Vezina Trophy winning goaltender like that, and expect to win a game. I don't know.
Especially with the offensive power that Florida has, and you're lacking defensive depth, and then you're basically just throwing this goalie out to the wolves. You know what I mean?
I don't know.
And that's kind of and that goes back to what we talked about, where they didn't really address that in the offseason. We don't have a backup goalie, really. I don't think, and we've already seen that if you do backup goalie by committee, that's a fail. Right? Every team that's done that for the most part. And what I mean by committee is more than 3 goalies or more than 2 goalies that play the backup role. You start rotating around 3, 4, 5 goalies. That's not going to be very conducive to winning a lot of games.
No, it's not. I don't know. So somebody who impressed me has been Konechny. Now, obviously, that's a choice there. He's a big name player, but he's got 4 goals and 2 assists for 6 points thus far this season. I like him because he seems to be back to his old self. He fell apart. He had 3 seasons of 24 goals straight. And, you thought he was going to be good to go, and he became just a grinder. He looked like a 4th line player. I love the chippiness. I love the talking guys and getting penalties, but that's for somebody that's not getting paid as much money as him to do,
Line grinder.
Yeah, not a guy who's, should be playing on the 1st or 2nd line to be doing. Few and far between, Brad Marchand does a pretty good job of that and with Boston, but also I think, D'Angelo, of course, has looked nice, but Kevin Hayes has 6 assists so far. No goals, but he's had a lot of helpers. And like we said before, it's a guy that Torts has come to and said, hey, I need you to step up and be productive. I mean, you're getting paid a big chunk of salary, cap hit, so I need you to do something. But the one other guy I like is Wade Allison. I want him to stay healthy, but I think he had a shift in that last game where he had 5 hits or something. He was just running around, putting everybody on the seat of their pants, and he did it cleanly. You know what I mean? He did it in a way where no penalties, and
no called penalties.
Right. So, hey, that counts, right? He didn't get caught. So those are the guys that really stood out to me. I really want to see some more out of Allison. I really want to see him stay healthy.
Yeah.
Because I think he is a Flyer through and through. So
I agree.
Those are my guys that I've definitely been keeping an eye on the past few games.
One guy that I have to say that I've really been keeping an eye on is Noah Cates. Now, I know everybody's talking about him and everything like that, but he really has been impressive. Okay? Tortorella said he was the best guy out of camp, and, man, at times, he's one of the best players out on the ice for the Flyers. Okay? So
I think he's really relishing in that move to center role.
I agree.
So
and Torch told him. He said he's gonna put him up there. Do it. Let him go. What's the worst that can possibly happen? You know what I mean? I've really been impressed with him. I've really been impressed with Scott Lawton. Okay. Now, we talked about at the beginning where we said, who do we think would be captain and everything else? And we all thought that, well, Couturier is the obvious choice, because he's tenured and whatever. But I'm still making my case for Lawton because he's the only one wearing a letter on the team. And if you're the only one wearing a letter on the team, and last year Hayes was wearing a letter, Provorov was wearing a letter, you know what I mean? Atkinson was wearing a letter, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's no other letters.
Nope.
Okay, so I think he's been another really impressive player for me on the good side. Okay, so Noah Cates, Carter Hart, and Scott Lawton on the good, right?
Mm-hmm.
I've also really loved D'Angelo being here in Philadelphia. I think once they finally get it all on the same page, I think he's going to be a pretty good quarterback for the power play, at least the first unit.
Yeah.
It's very odd not seeing the 28 down there on the down low, waiting for the,
Well, I think that it's going to come when you get some guys healthy back. I think,
Exactly.
Owen Tippett's a shooter who could be on the second power play. And
Atkinson's a shooter.
Yep. And I was going to say Cam Atkinson's a guy who likes to hang down there and can put in some goals
and
when
even
he's in the play.
JVR.
Yep. Well, he's going to do his thing and stand in front of the net and, redirect some pucks. So let's see when a couple of guys come back healthy and hopefully the people that are in place now can stay healthy. And we'll see if we can, tie some of those games back up that we may be down. Who knows?
I think this goes back to something that we've touched on since the coaching change, and that is putting players in the correct situation or having the right players in the right situation. Okay. And I think we're seeing a lot more of that with Tortorella because as he learns more about these players, let's face it, he's only had a month or two with these guys, maybe, right? Or he's been with them every single day. It's going to take a little longer. And that's what he said, November, they should be, everybody should be gelling and everything like that. So I think that there's going to be some growing pains. We all knew that was going to be the case. You know what I mean? I just wasn't expecting us to come out of the gates and win the first 3 games and then be super competitive in every single one of them, even though we've been completely and utterly outshot in every single game. The game against Florida, 2-1. I mean, it was sick. Okay, so that really needs to be fixed. So things that have impressed on the bad side is just that. The being completely outshot every single night. I mean, you're not going to win a lot of games if you're, completely getting obliterated with shots. You know what I'm saying? And I have not been impressed with Morgan Frost and Sanheim. I just haven't been. I've seen flashes of Morgan Frost, right? In the first game, he played really great.
Right.
You know what I mean? But then he kind of dropped off.
Yeah, he's disappeared the last few games for sure.
Exactly. And
he had some chances, but could some great chances in the last game alone, but just wasn't able to put the puck in the back of the net.
Take care of it, right? And Sanheim has been the other kind of disappointment. Is he hurt? I haven't really seen him finish checks. I see him still trying to poke at guys.
I've never seen him finish a check since, his days in the WHL. So I don't know.
I'm trying to be nice here, man. I'm trying. I'm sorry. When you're going up against the team's top line guys, and the first thing that you do while he's skating into the corner and you're going in there to meet him and the puck is coming in there at the same time, you're not trying to be looking down, trying to poke at the puck. That's what Sanheim is doing. No, head up, run into that guy, and then your teammate's going to come along and take that puck.
Well, I think a lot of that is the fact that, Ramus is not there. Ristolainen, his partner from last season, I think that was a lot better yin and yang situation than where Sanheim was always looking to go and jump up into the offensive zone to make a play. Ristolainen was able to stay back and really monitor that blue line and put some guys on their butts when needed to be able to get the puck back in their own possession. So I think that is a strenuous thing for Sanheim to have to play with somebody else right now, because it seemed like they were just getting some great chemistry last year towards the end of the season. So I'd look to Sanheim's numbers and his performance to get a little better when, Ristolainen is able to come back. So we shall see.
Yeah, I mean, there was been a lot of things that have impressed me about the team, and that was just one of the ones that just kind of, I was like, okay, I'm just not seeing. We looked for this team, these younger, quote unquote, younger veterans like Sanheim's, to take that next step, to take a bigger bite, to be more of a threat, to be more of a contributor to the team and everything else like that. And so I'm going to say that I'll give it a couple more games and we'll see how we go. You know what I mean? But right now, that's kind of what my impress list on the good and impress list on the bad.
Yeah, I've kind of been impressed with the physicality. I'm old school. I like physicality. I think that plays a big part of the game as far as puck possession and everything else. And just the overall getting the crowd in the game. And I think, guys like Delorier have been able to do that. He's not going to be a big point producer. He's, going to take some penalties here or there, trying to get the opposition to take penalties. But to be the instigator or whatever like that.
Well, you saw that Tampa Bay game, right? And he walked up to Marin and was like, "Yeah, you want to go? Yeah, all right, cool."
Yeah. But see, and at that point of the game, it was really needed. And I think a veteran like Nick is able to realize that is his calling card. He needs to step up and do that when his team is down by a goal or two, to get the crowd back into it if they're home or something, or get that momentum and life back on that bench. Just by a simple fight, and it has worked. For a couple of games, and that's his niche, as well as he's a big locker room guy. He's a guy that's going to stand up and bring the guys together and have a calming presence, in between periods and stuff. So that's also why he was brought in.
I was never questioning why he was brought in.
Yeah. But I think something negative that I see is definitely the shots on goal. I want to see them come down. And I think you do that by playing more physical on the back end. And I think they will when Ristolainen comes back and everything like that, and clearing out the front of the net and all that good stuff happens with a big body back there like him. But I don't know. I want to see more of the third and fourth line stepping up and, getting a little more into the offense. And maybe that happens with the Flyers claim, waiver wire claim of 29-year-old center Lucas Sedlak from
that's a nice addition.
He played for Torts before. He's 6 foot 205, so he's a big body. He got cut by Colorado this season, wavered, sent back down, or at least attempted to the AHL, but the Flyers picked him up because he's obviously played for Torts, and he played well last season in the KHL. He scored 18 goals, 25 assists, and for 43 points.
Yeah, man.
He can bring it a little bit, and it makes me think with Artyom Anisimov
Yeah.
He's still hanging around because he's injured. He's still hanging around the Flyers. He hasn't been cut. He was a camp invitee, but he hasn't really been signed. He hasn't been because he's been hurt. So maybe it's, something a little more serious than we originally thought. And, hence the reason for bringing in, this new guy in Lucas. So who knows? That's just my assumption. I don't have any insight on that particular incident, but I think that would be a nice addition to the bottom six for sure.
I agree.
He can bring some offense, so we'll have to see. We'll have to see.
I agree, and I also think too that because of the Owen Tippett injury as well too, I think that has been part of it, and also with the Cam Atkinson injury as well too. So I think that was another reason why they had to bring somebody in.
Mhm.
You know, because you're kind of getting thin there, guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, you're bringing up Big Mac, which, man, I got to tell you something. He has impressed. He has impressed, man. He just has energy. Like, he just reminds me of the Energizer Bunny. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I would keep him up, but that's just me. Yeah.
I would too. I think that is a dynamic duo with him and Nick on the fourth line, or potentially third line with the injuries that occurred. But I really like him. I do think he brought a presence last season to the Flyers that was lacking. And I think he's secretly on the sneaky end of things, got a little offensive side at him too. He jumped up and ran into the forecheck a little bit and got some shots on goal and really showed that he wants to be here. So I really like him, and I would like to see McEwen stay up as well. So we'll have to see.
For sure. And seeing that kind of want to from players, because we saw that from him last year, when he was picked up, and he brings that different kind of energy into the team that seems like is a little bit lacking. You know what I mean? Like it just he brings that kind of emotion. He wears it on his sleeve, and
well, hopefully it can be contagious. When with guys like that are putting forth that effort, he's not the best guy out on the ice, obviously, but he is going to be one of the guys on the bench that is going to put forth the biggest effort. And like I said, this season, that's what's going to win us a couple of games that we probably shouldn't win, because that is hopefully contagious, and coming from Torts, he's kind of going to demand that. So,
all day long, yeah.
Let's see how much is that's going to play into the whole thing.
There's one other thing I want to touch on here a little bit too,
Sure.
And that's the power play. Okay, and the penalty kill. Well, let's just say special teams.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on special teams so far this year? Last year we were paltry, dead, freaking bloody last at 12.6%.
Yeah. Well, I think you can only go up from last season.
I mean,
I think we hit on it a little bit before in this show, where we said the things like the power play are going to get better with certain players coming back into the lineup, and same be it for the penalty kill. Sean Couturier has a certain award on his mantle for a reason. He's a great defensive center. So some players are lacking for sure out of those groups that are usually there. So I'm interested to see, with, like you said, D'Angelo running the power play and stuff like that, if he can get Cam Atkinson back and have some more weapons on that power play. I think it's only going to get better. So
let me throw this at you. All right, just for giggles and goofies. So you got D'Angelo at the point, right? And then you got Atkinson out there. Maybe TK, or would you put Hayes out there, right, as your top, power play unit, right? So that's kind of what I'm very interested to see, how the power play units change when some of these players come back and things like that. And so I'm looking very forward to how this power play is going to go, because I have to agree with our very special guest that we had last week, and that was Mr. Jim Jackson. And he said very clearly that if you have a much more improved, even if it's by 10 or 15%, right? If we only improve by 10 or 15% on the power play, that's potentially 5 or 4 more wins, right? Because that maybe might be that one extra goal during the game when you are on a power play and you are able to score. You know?
Yeah, well, I want to see Kevin Hayes step into the slot or in front of the net. He's 6'5" and 230 pounds.
Get yourself dirty, man.
Right. I want to see him get in there like JVR does. He can move the puck a little bit, yes, but there's not too many people with his kind of size, and you're not going to move him out in front of that net. Exactly. So if I was Tortorella, I have him a guy shooting the puck at him and a net sitting behind him, and just sit there and tell them to sit there all practice and do redirections and deflections.
Just tip drills.
Tip drills. Yeah, tip drills and really get him going on that, because I really, even though he's a center, I really want to see him stand in front of that netminder, especially some of these smaller guys, and they're not going to be able to see anything coming from Provorov or D'Angelo coming from the point. So if that's the case,
I have to agree with you on that one, man. 100%. I really want to see him earn his money. Okay, you're being paid like one of the top people, so I want to see top people production. Mm-hmm. Okay, and you know what? I got to be honest with you, man. If I don't see it, then I'm gonna have to have a little talk with Mr. Hayes. You know what I mean? And I think there's going to be quite a few players that are going to have those talks with Mr. Tortorella throughout the year. You know,
for sure. He's going to be pulling players in and sitting people out and moving people down in the lineup if they're not producing. So it should be interesting. It should be interesting.
That's what I like. That's one of the things I have to say that I really appreciate about Tortorella, is that if you're not playing and you're not producing, then you're a detriment, then you're a liability, then we need you out of here.
Well, even more than that, I appreciate the fact that he's not afraid to play youth if the veterans are slacking or falling into a bad habit or something. That's fine. You can sit on the bench during the power play, and I'll put this kid out there that wants it more than you right now. So,
I got to also say something else too. I was a little bit surprised at the beginning of the year when the list came out that Cam York was not on the starting lineup, because I really felt that he was one of those types of young players that needed to step up and be more and take more of a bite and have a more responsibility and things of that nature. And he didn't.
He did not.
But Zamula did. And look at where it's getting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think Tortorella spoke on that about Cam York, and he said that like he expected a lot more from him and he didn't produce. So instead of burying him just because of his draft stock, on the third pairing of the Flyers, he wants to send him down and get some first line minutes and see some power play time, see some penalty kill time. And further his development. And as far as Zamula goes, he's been down with the Phantoms for some time, and he's impressed me for a long time. I really like Zamula. I've been talking this guy up for
since we
years.
Drafted him.
Yeah,
or even before.
Signed him. Yeah, they signed him. Yeah.
So I'm with you on that, man, for sure. He's one of the other ones that has kind of really impressed me too, is Zamula. You know what I mean? I thought that this stretch of games here after the first 2 games, because I truly felt that the New Jersey and the Vancouver games were completely winnable games for the Flyers. I really wasn't expecting us to go down to Florida and do anything except get creamed. I mean, you're talking about 1-year removed Stanley Cup champions who all they did this past offseason was re-sign everybody.
Not everybody. They lost
Not
a couple
everybody,
pieces,
but
yeah. But they filled in their spots very, very nicely.
Exactly.
They lost some key pieces,
they did.
Ruda and everything like that that have been there for
agree.
quite a long time. So that are very underrated players.
As long as you got Vasilevsky back there, and as long as you got Stamkos, who's just been freaking lighting it up this year,
yeah,
right? That has been the most impressive game that I've seen out of the Flyers in 2 years. Since that one, I think it was the final Montreal game when we were in the bubble. That was the last time I think I saw the Flyers play a full 60 minutes all the way through. You know what I mean? Like that Tampa Bay game, I was very, very impressed. Completely outshot, and down 2 goals, and then you come back and win.
I mean, for sure. This season, I have set my phone down. I think during the games last season, I found myself bored, still watching the game because it's the Flyers game and it's tradition. We got to watch the game.
Well,
but I wasn't even.
It's also kind of an occupational hazard.
But I wasn't even watching the game. I was.
Yeah.
Oh, somebody text me. Okay, and it was something I never did before, and I found myself disinterested at times. This year's a different altogether. It's a different team for sure. And, they may not have those star players to really compete at the end of the season, but it's exciting still nonetheless, I guess, because
the excitement has been brought back.
Yeah, because they're playing the game the right way. So
exactly. Not everybody, but for the most part. And I think that's going to come. I think once you start getting more games under the belts of the players and the coaches and all that other stuff, I think some of that stuff's going to come. You know what I mean? And so I'm with you on that. Speaking of traditions and everything else like that, just to let you know that SteelFlyers will be in the building on Black Friday. And we all know who's playing that day, don't we? The Penguins are going to come calling. And this will be my first time actually seeing Sid the Kid in I saw him his rookie year.
Oh, wow.
Okay, live, right? Because, I saw him his rookie year live. But I haven't seen him play live since. And every Black Friday game that we've gone to has either been Carolina, or Edmonton, or the Islanders, or actually it was Carolina 2 years in a row, and then a couple years prior it was still Carolina, and then we had the Islanders, and we had Edmonton. Anyway, this is going to be a good Black Friday game, so we're really excited about that. So speaking of exciting and all that other kind of good stuff, the Flyers today announced, speaking of which, seeing how we're wearing one, the Flyers, got the Lindros jersey on there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The big 88. This is the big SteelFlyers number right here. Yeah, that's it. The retro jerseys were released today, right? And so, your thoughts, Mr. Green?
I like them. I think the jerseys could be a little closer. That's one of my favorites that you have on, the black. From the late 90s, early 2000s.
Early 2000s, yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I like them. I love the Tortorella, the pants.
The pants, pants.
That they're going to wear in warm-ups at least. So I think that is a neat touch for sure. I think that the Flyers jersey overall is kind of dated. I think they need to revamp it a little bit. It's always been this crest, and that's nice, but I don't know, man. I think they spice it up a little bit, and hopefully that does. So
I don't want them to do that because the last time they tried to do it, they ruined it.
Yeah.
Right. They put that silver inside the logo and everything,
Right.
and it made it look corny.
Yeah,
Right?
it wasn't. They didn't hit it out of the park like some teams do. You know.
Yeah, right. Like I got to tell you something, man. Out of all the retro jerseys, man, I still gotta love them Seattle Kraken jersey. That just jersey is just hot all day long.
Mm.
Okay.
I like the Florida jersey with
Oh yeah.
the side patch there as the main logo on that one. I think that's cool colors and just something different for sure. So
I'm
I
with you
don't
on
know.
that for
We'll
sure.
see.
And I always liked the old New York Rangers with the Lady Liberty logo. I thought that was really. I think that's really cool.
I like the Islanders with the fisherman in the
Oh
crease.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah. That was pretty good. So
Right. I'm with you on that too. Those are pretty cool. And of course, you know, the classics, the Hartford Whalers one. I mean, that jersey just, and you know what? I actually like some of the first Nordiques color jerseys too. So some of them were kind of neat looking too, I thought.
yeah,
I also like the Colorado jersey.
Yeah,
I just like that. You know, it's funny that you mentioned that, Lance, because last year I didn't find myself looking down on my phone at somebody that was texting me. I thought, well, hey, if my team isn't going to win, why don't I watch a winner? So I started watching more Carolina games. I started watching more Florida games. And then I was like, about a third of the season in, I said, hey, Colorado. Yeah, I like Colorado. And I watched more Colorado games last year than I did Flyers games.
Yeah, that's sad, right?
That's sad, right?
But I think one more jersey that I really like is the Sharks retro. It's hitting off the old Seals jerseys, the California Seals.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool. They just
nice.
did the same colors but put the Sharks across.
That really, that like those light paisley colors and the man. See, I'm down with all that kind of
stuff.
Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
So. Lance, I'll tell you what, man. This is episode 99. One more away from the big century mark.
Yeah, I think we got something starting to be planned for next episode, right? I think so. So
Well, there's definitely going to be an article to talk about.
Yeah, I hope so. Hopefully I get that thing edited by then.
By the way, you guys got to go to SteelFlyers.com, check out Lance's article about Tortorella doing a lot with very little, and then obviously the next coming articles. But we're going to be making, we have a couple of announcements we'd like to do here and throw out there for you guys. We're going to be probably adding a new show to the network, getting up with some more people to try to give you guys some more, entertainment and more fun opinions and more great things to watch.
Different perspectives, yeah.
Yep. Also be adding another writer to the group as well. So you guys will have more articles to read as well. So very excited about that. And just stay tuned. We'll let you guys in on what's going on. And I got to tell you, Lance, I really love the Prospect Watch show that we're doing.
I do too.
I mean, guys, look, you got to go check out the Prospect Watch show. We had Zach Bookman on, and we also had Yaniv Peretz on. And boy, do we got a new one coming out for you guys on that one. But you guys see the new one on that one. But a lot of things going on here at SteelFlyers All Sports Network, and we'd like to thank everybody here for watching and for joining and for subscribing and for listening to a much older guy. And we're here about the Flyers, and we're here about to see this team win. And it's nice when we finally get to have a good, positive show and talk about good things about the Flyers. You know, we said this at the very beginning, and I'm going to hold true to this all season long. It's not about the wins and losses for me this year, for this team. It's about want to. It's about will. It's about doing everything that you can to try to win the game. Okay? And that means laying it all out there. Okay? That's all I want to see from this team. I want to see effort. I want to see try. I want to see want to. I want to see some production. Okay, and it's fun to watch the games again.
Yes.
I mean, to the point where I'm gonna go to one. You know, so hey, all right, good deal. Well, Lance, I'll tell you what. Why don't you tell the folks where we can find you and where we can get all your great articles? Hopefully soon. Another new one coming out.
Yep. Well, of course, you just kind of hit on it. SteelFlyers.com. You can, easiest way is probably to go to the Hockey Writers Inc. page, and it has most of my stuff right there. And, you know, on Twitter, you can find me at Lance.Green 39. So.
Don't forget to go check us out on Twitter at HCKY Writers Inc. That's HCKY Writers Inc. That's on Twitter. So you can follow us on Twitter. That's right. Hockey Writers Inc. now has a Twitter page. So yeah, got to go check that out and hit the like and subscribe on that too and follow so you can get all the great updates and everything about the Hockey Writers Inc. I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers. You can find me on Twitter at SteelFlyers52. And you can also find all the great work from all of the great contributors at the SteelFlyers All Sports Network, from the great Peyton on the radio, who does great play-by-play, to the great John the GOAT from Off the Wall Hockey, who does great play-by-play. The man's calling every single game, every single night. He's out there. Go see him. Go check him out. He's calling all the games. He does the entire NHL. He doesn't care. He covers everything, right? You also got to be checking out The Frolic with the great Perlo Wisdom. Yeah, buddy, go get The Frolic. Listen, if you guys are into doing all that kind of betting stuff, you got to get in with Perlo because he's got you covered. He's got all the lines. He's got the picks. If that's what you guys want to do and that's what you're into, go check out Perlo at B-Pal Picks. Check that out, all right? Lance, thanks for another great one, buddy. Episode number 99.
In the can.
Here we go. Guys, the Flyers will be playing on Saturday night. We'll be checking that one out for sure. And until we see you all on the next show, thanks everybody for watching.